Dr. Smith, have you heard of the new guy around the compound? I've got word about what he's been doing with the research data.
Dr. Roanoke?
Yes.
I heard he likes to add his own research to the files in our archives. Should we be worried about that?
I don't think so. If we're getting additional data from what he's doing, then I see no harm in it.
But what do you think the O5s think of him?
Well, whatever they saw in him, and whatever they're paying him, it's definitely paying off. For the Foundation's sake, at least.
Item number SCP-008. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-008 samples have been deemed Class 5 extreme biological hazards, and all related protocols apply. Incineration and irradiation measures will be deployed in the event of political or military action, which may result in the facility being dismantled, a power failure, or zero communications from operatives or outside channels during any given 8-hour period. The quarantine period for operatives leaving the facility is 4 months. If a breach has occurred, incineration and irradiation measures shall be deployed. It should be the policy of all G2 sites to not prepare an evacuation procedure. Description: SCP-008 is a complex prion, samples of which are stored in each of the known G2 sites. Research into SCP-008 is highly classified and primarily aimed at preventing research which may lead to the synthesis of SCP-008 in the distant future. Traits of SCP-008 Prion include 100% infectiousness, 100% lethality, transmission through exposed mucous membranes and all bodily fluids, not airborne or waterborne. Symptoms of infection with SCP-008 manifest no more than 3 hours after exposure and include flu-like symptoms with high fever plus severe dementia in later stages, coma onset approximately 20 hours after the first symptoms appear and 12 hours after noticeable dementia. Coma onset will be considered onset of death. A period of sporadic cellular necrosis occurs which comes to resemble gangrene. Surviving tissue assumes its original function and is highly resilient. Red blood cells greatly increase oxygen capacity, resulting in slower blood flow and increased muscle endurance and strength. Nervous and muscular systems are unaffected by total organ failure for several hours. Metabolism may decrease to extremely low levels, allowing subject to survive for over 10 years without any nutrition. High blood viscosity results in negligible blood flow from gunshot, puncture, or slashing injuries. Conditioned behavior, motor controls, and instinctive behavioral mechanisms are damaged, and cognitive abilities are severely retarded and erratic. Animals experience excessive brain necrosis and are inactive. Subject can adapt to its damaged nervous system but is limited to basic physical activities, including standing up, balancing on 2 legs, walking, biting, grabbing, and crawling. Subject will energetically move towards sights, sounds, and smells associated with living humans. Subject will attempt to ingest living humans if physical contact is made. Neutralizing fully infected subjects requires significant cranial trauma. There is strong evidence to suggest that SCP-008 itself did not form naturally on Earth, since variants of similar complexity would have displaced much of the ecosystem. In 1959, a short collaborative effort between the USSR to locate G2 sites and eliminate SCP-008 was negotiated following their discovery. The status of SCP-008 in Russian custody since collaboration ended is unknown. Addendum 008-1. SCP-500 has been found to be able to completely cure SCP-008, even in the advanced stages of the disease. Off the record. SCP-008 requires further investigation concerning its origins. It is hypothesized that the SCP being a prion-based disease in no way could have originated on Earth due to the probability that ecosystems would have been displaced or even completely destroyed. However, given what we know about prion diseases of Earth, it is possible that SCP-008 has gone on to find a host population based in North America, specifically the West. Populations of fauna there, specifically the herbivore families consisting of deer, elk, caribou, and moose, have begun to be infected with a disease known colloquially as chronic wasting disease. This disease is known to be caused by a prion responsible for the same dementia humans acquire from Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, or CJD, or mimicking the same effects that we all know as mad cow disease. The prions have entered the deer population of these areas and begun to degrade the herbivores' bodies to the point that some have even begun calling it the zombie deer disease. Upon the prion entering the body, likely through food or exchange of bodily fluids between deer, the disease will work its way into the brain of the animal, inducing symptoms of dementia, chiefly known as spongiform encephalopathy, which results in holes forming within the brain of the deer, causing the deer to wander, interact with humans, and quite literally have its body begin wasting away from underneath it as it starves. The issue with this specific form of prion is its staying power. Even if the deer is eaten by a predator, it could potentially jump to that species of animal, as shown in the experimental trials where chronic wasting disease was able to jump to squirrel monkeys and genetically modified mice. The implications of this are alarming for several reasons. The first reason is quite concerning that we as a species are actively hunters. Every day we consume deer, and should the deer be infected yet not exhibiting symptoms yet, there is potential this infection could spread to humans, and this would quite clearly be an outbreak of SCP-008 on a large scale should a hunter become infected and it be unknown to the Foundation. Another cause for concern is prions are not destructible by normal means. Cooking meat containing prions does not destroy the protein structure, and upon ingestion, it is free to enter the body of a person and begin misshaping proteins of counter structures as it goes along, inducing symptoms. Average people do not have access to the methods of the Foundation, such as a complete incineration ability of protein, or, for that matter, irradiation. And quite possibly the top of the issues associated with this particular prion is its staying power in the environment. The idea is proposed that it did not originate on this planet, but in reality, a prion of any type, whether it be SCP-008 or your standard run-of-the-mill Earth-grown prion, they have an ability to exist outside of the body and on plants, on the ground, really anywhere, just waiting for something to happen upon them and ingest them. Should SCP-008 be allowed to continue to flourish in the western states, we will need to begin a large-scale effort of eradication, which will result in massive sections of land being incinerated, which in itself would displace any animal, whether man or beast, and lay bare large swaths of unusable areas. This may in turn be the only possibility that the Foundation may have concerning an outbreak of SCP-008. This particular prion appears to be quite insidious and somewhat different from other prions medical facilities typically encounter. Mental degradation, body dysregularities, confusion, coma, and eventual death are all expected when it comes to a prion infection. As it enters the brain, it begins unfolding and refolding the naturally occurring proteins within an animal into an unusable but super stable structure that can completely resist all known medical treatments and naturally occurring enzymes within the body. As proteins are converted into this shape, they begin to amass and choke out portions of the brain and eat holes within it. This is where the confusion arises and eventual coma as the brain is destroyed. This is the typical pathway for all infected with prion disease. SCP-008 appears to be a new flavor, however. Destroying the brain, this super stable structure appears to physically be a possible superior structure to the naturally occurring ones in humans specifically. When these proteins are converted to this new shape, it results in the death of tissue as we know it, but all surviving tissue will be stronger as a result. In most cases, the nervous system is largely destroyed, but in some, it still remains in some capacity. The muscles are much more powerful due to the new base building block, meaning muscle does not break down as quickly and can contract with more force due to its ability to resist greater pressures of said contraction. The brain, much like the rest of the nervous system being destroyed, means only basic functions are retained, but this will remain for as long as the affected are stable. With new base proteins, the affected now have increased oxygen carrying capacity, meaning that the heme to some degree has been changed to allow for more oxygen particles to be ferried around the body. What's most interesting is the laws of entropy do not appear to apply to the infected. The metabolism has slowed to the point that you would expect them to be non-functional, but it would appear that the body is able to hold itself together more steadily in the face of what would cause a normal person to be faced with death due to starvation. The only thing we can point to concerning all of these seemingly increased ability is that the Prion's ability to remain as it is and in its environment, due to its hardiness as it converts the proteins of the body to its shape and structuring. The body as a result becomes more hardy than what it was originally and what is considered normal to the species, but at a cost of the mental faculties. This, however, does not appear to be a permanent, unceasing arrangement. The affected will seek out non-converted protein in the form of non-infected and consume them, meaning that presumably this protein is within their stomachs and needs to be converted into this prion, likely to bolster their body should damages occur, much like how we have to eat to stay alive. They simply do the same, but the methods of how things are broken down would be different, resulting in how they are different. In reality, while likely not displacing the established ecosystem as quickly as the timeline assumes from the Foundation, it undoubtedly would require a response that would likely result in the complete destruction of an area contaminated by fire or irradiation.
Alright guys, I want to thank you for watching this SCP video. I hope you enjoyed it. I know these don't do as well as the creepypasta videos, but I do like talking about them, and it is kind of cool to just add on that little part at the end there. You guys said that you were enjoying it. I'm happy to hear that because I'm happy to write these up and continue making them in the future. I think it kind of adds something to the video overall. Alright, well I'm going to go enjoy my weekend because I am dog tired, and this is like 3 videos a week. It's killing me, but it's also really fun. So I appreciate you guys listening. I hope everyone enjoyed, and I will see y'all in the next one.